Hey fellas, so Urza's Legacy Green. I'm thinking tomorrow I'll knock out red and black, and then Tuesday I'll knock out the blue and the artifacts and any lands that might be in there. I don't think there are any though. And then I'll move on to the next set. I'll decide with daddies later. So talk about stuff in here. Ancient Silverback, he's 6 mana for a 6/5 regenerator. He's okay. I mean, he's not exemplary. I don't think these days he's behind the mana curve. Back in the day, he was a rare. If he were reprinted today, he might still be, simply because he's a big creature that's really difficult to get rid of, especially in draft or sealed deck. Played Spider. It's one of the few spiders that has a power that equals its toughness. There aren't many of those. Most spiders have higher toughness than power. There's only like maybe 2 that don't. Well, 2 or 3. I know there's a 4/2 spider in red in Time Spiral block. I think there's a 7/6 spider in green somewhere. I'm trying to remember. Oh well. Elvish Piper! There's a card that does evil stuff. 3 colors and a green for a 1/1 green tap. Take a creature from your hand, put it on the board. It doesn't matter what format you're playing. If you see someone playing Elvish Piper, you kill it. You kill it now. If you're in a multiplayer game and you see someone playing Elvish Piper, if you can't kill it and someone else can, let them. If someone tries to play a board sweeping spell, like a Day of Judgment or a Wrath of God, while somebody's got an Elvish Piper on the board, let them. No, I'm serious. Let them. Because I absolutely promise you that on their next turn, something big is hitting the board. I mean, you know, look, if you want to deal with them on turn 5, or maybe sooner, depending upon how much acceleration they had for mana, if you want to see them dropping like a turn 3, 4, 5 Emrakul, and then throwing Lightning Greaves or Swiftfoot Boots on it to give it haste, hey, you know what? If you're comfortable with that, that's fine. I mean, if you want them to, like, you know, just turn a 15/15 Annihilator, God knows what, etc., at, you know, you or someone else, that's great. Because if you don't have a way to deal with something like that, you're in it deep, neck deep. And the only reason why I'm, like, you know, going in so far in depth into this is because I read something recently about someone having, like, trying to basically clear the board in a multiplayer game after one of these opponents dropped Elvish Piper on the board, and someone else at the table countered it because they didn't want to lose their creatures. And then, like, on that guy's next turn, he drops like something redonkulous, like one of the Eldrazi, one with a good size Annihilator ability on it, and he starts going to town. And the guy just, like, systematically ripped his way through all of the opponents. And I believe the expression would be no bueno. No bueno. What else we got here? Elvish Lookout. It's effectively a 1/1 with Shroud for a green. We've got something better today. We have a 1/1 Hexproof in M12. You know, some people don't like Hexproof because they say, you know, it's too much better than Shroud. Some people say it dumbs the game down. I don't think Hexproof dumbs the game down. It does. It's a better ability than Shroud, hands down. The only time Hexproof is not as good as Shroud is if somehow or another if your opponent busts out a Mindslaver type effect, and they force you to nuke your own creature. It can happen. That doesn't mean it's, like, you know, something you need to be too worried about. Taunting Elf. He's a 0/1 for 1 mana with a built-in lure effect. That is, when he attacks, everything able to block him must do so. He's cheap to play. If he had haste, he'd be incredible. The only thing I can really say about him is that dies to removal, any kind of removal, very easily. If it weren't for how fragile he is, he'd be really powerful, especially in limited. I play a lot of limited. I draft a lot, as you probably know if you've watched a bunch of these videos. So limited is my primary area of concern. For me, constructed is about fun decks. It's about putting together something silly, stuff like that. A couple of cards I put aside that I want to talk about as well. You got the Heart Warden. It's a colorless and a green for a 1/1. You can tap it for green mana. You can pump 2 colors into it and sacrifice it to draw a card. It's not bad. It's pretty solid. Late game, if it's not useful, you can just sack it for and hopefully draw something better. You never know. Yavimaya Elder. This guy, if he's not a staple in green EDH, he should be. He's a colorless and double green for a 2/1. When he goes to the graveyard from play, you can search your library for up to 2 basic lands, reveal them, put them in your hand, shuffle. Oh yeah, and you can pay 2 colors and sacrifice him for a draw card. So here's what happens. You pay the 2 colors, and you sacrifice him to activate his draw card effect. Draw card effect goes on the stack, his enters the graveyard ability triggers, goes on top. So you look for your deck for 2 lands, basic lands, reveal, put them in your hand, and then draw a card. That's outstanding. That's really good. And if you just need him to chump block with, if he dies, you still get the 2 lands. I mean, that guy's outright incredible. He's so good that even though he's like a common, he's probably going into my trade binder. And the only commons I put into my trade binder are either foil commons or really old bread and butter commons that haven't seen print in a long time. For instance, in my trade binder, you will see Dark Rituals and Counter Spells. I used to have a few Hymn to Torak in there, but somebody snapped them all up. I can't remember who. But yeah, I mean those are boss cards. Those are awesome. They're great stuff. So there we have today's update. And I'll catch you guys later. Be good, be safe, etc., etc.